Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight on episode 1, season 7 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live on Wednesdays on Facebook throughout the season and the World Cup this year, mate. It's going to be a long one.
Yeah.
Evening, Richie. It's been a while, but it's good to be back with the first official games happening this weekend. How have you been, and happy birthday for last week?
Hey, thank you, mate. Been good. Been keeping busy with work, but I'm itching, man. I'm ready to jump on the roller coaster again. Yeah, it's that wonderful time of year. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. As I told you before we jumped on, I've been a bit crook the past few days, but I'm slowly back on the mend. Have my voice back, which is a good thing for this, not so good for the missus, but not as excited as normal for Vegas due to the teams that are playing. But, you know, we've got the Warriors just around the corner, so that will be something to look forward to. And I think we said, it might have been on when we were on Rowan Hammer's show a few weeks ago, where I said that if we didn't do this show, I probably wouldn't be watching the Vegas games. But we'll be watching them because we have to review them next week. But while we're here live on Wednesdays at 8 p.m., you can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio or Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Tonight's going to be our season prediction show, like we've done a lot. Very wrong most of the time. I'm expecting no different tonight, but we're going to pick our options for things like leading try scorer, minor premiers, Dally M, our top 8, and a few more. Paul's unable to be here tonight, but he did send us all his predictions as well, which is good because he's usually the one that get things right out of the three of us. But yeah, as we did last year and the year before, we'll keep a record of them, and then at the end of the NRL season, we'll go back and discuss them with embarrassment about how wrong we were. It looks like we've picked a couple. There's a couple where we're all completely different, and then some where we all agree. So hopefully the ones we all agree on are actually going to happen. We're also going to cover some news stories and answer some questions before we jump into the predictions. So if you've got any questions, put them through. We've got a couple for each other. And then we'll end the night with a preview of next week's show. Probably won't take us too long for our first one back, but we'll see what happens. Every time I say it's going to be short, we're going to go for hours. So yeah, remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump straight into the stories, mate.
Let's do it.
There was so much because we've been going for ages, so I've just kind of cherry picked some big ones, and we'll get into a better routine of news as we hit week to week. But the big one, I guess, the big one before the big news yesterday. The NRL announced some rule changes for 2026. They tried to get a few more in that got shut down. Famously, the kickoff one. They wanted to change the way kickoffs were done. All the teams are against it, so they've pulled that back. But I think Volandis basically said, if we want to do it, we're going to do it regardless. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the ones they've named, the trainers will be restricted from entering the field of play, only allowed on in clearly defined circumstances. I was trying to find the actual breakdown of what the defined circumstances was, but I couldn't find anything. But I assume it's going to be injuries and after try scoring situations, things like that. We'll see how it goes and see if we don't have an extra man just running out there 24/7. The one we talked about just before jumping on, where we have no idea how it's going to work, but the teams interchange. They've extended it out to 6 players, and I've got what the NRL have said, saying teams may interchange 4 players up to 8 times per match from a squad of 6 players. The players that can be used are 14 to 19 inclusive. We don't really know how it's going to work. It seems a lot of the coaches don't like it. More looking at development, where you're going to potentially have 2 players on your bench every week that never get to play, and because they're on your bench, they probably won't get to play in the reserve grade. So I feel most coaches will probably have it as a break glass in case of emergency situation, and they'll just have a rotation. So like maybe we'll put Warriors, say like maybe like Attain to a Picky, and I'll say Jet Cleary. just two names that popped into my head. They might be there the next week. They might have Luke Hansen and a young like Fatialofa or someone like that. Just and like every week change it up, give young guys an experience to be in the camp with the top side maybe. And then on that situation where we've seen it many times where a half goes down or a fullback, then you hopefully have someone on there. But yeah, what do you reckon? Other than making NRL fantasy a nightmare?
Apart from sort of not understanding how it'll work in game completely, I kind of saw it similar to how you saw it, with giving you the benefit of having someone on the bench you wouldn't normally carry, but to cover for that emergency. For instance, we've got shocking luck when it comes to our centres and injuries. We can maybe carry an outside back on the bench, but maybe it's a Cam Pereira. I don't know. I think Healy as well if Tamaiti Martin's fit, and you could carry both of them. But yeah, I just don't know how it's going to work strategically in game. Whether we were talking, mate, if you can only use 4 of the 6, maybe the coaches hold one back just in case.
Yeah.
Keep an ace up the sleeve. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Well, we get a first taste of it this weekend, but we'll see what happens. I think it'll take a few weeks, if not a few months, to kind of adjust to how they are. And the smart coaches will know how to do it. And I think the coaches that don't get it will just pretend those 2 players don't exist.
Yeah.
And just treat it like it always was. So we'll see what happens there. There will also be no 7-tackle set following a knock-on in goal by an attacking team. So if you knock the ball on when trying to score, the defense doesn't get a 7-tackle set. I'm fine with that.
Don't mind that.
Yeah. Makes sense. And then for certain infringements beyond the 20-meter, the tackle count will restart, replacing the current 40-meter threshold. So
do you know what the certain infringements are?
No. I'm sure you do. Did you do research?
No.
No.
This is what I rely on you for.
No. I'm the prop, man. We don't care about penalties and things like that. Jacko's here. Even Jacko, said the no 7-tackle after a goal knock on is excellent. Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree. And I don't know what the set restart ones are, but they've moved it from beyond the 40 to beyond the 20. So it will keep some of the skullduggery that teams are trying to get away with out, maybe. I think that's more to do with when you're coming off your line and they give away a soft one.
Come on,
yeah. My research will be back. It's the first episode back. I was sick. I've got all the excuses I can. So, and then they also announced state of origin eligibility changes, Matt. Now, as long as you qualify in all the previous requirements, so everything before this announcement that made you qualify for state of origin is still in play. You're free to represent tier 1 nations that aren't Australia. So everything before qualifies you, but now if you're also qualified for England or New Zealand, you can still play for them. I know there's a lot of people unhappy. I don't really care. The only thing I care about is, as a Kiwi, it means that we don't lose those young players that Australia love to steal off us, because they've got the origin thing. We're going like, you could play for New Zealand and play 2 games a year, or you could get origin.
The carrot's
so
gone.
Yeah, like Jacko said, state of origin changes will help Kiwis, so great stuff. Yeah, and some of to their defense, they are Australian. So a lot of them were getting upset saying it's going to be an all-star game. It's not like you're going to get like James Fisher-Harris playing. It's you still got to qualify. And it's just more like your Adam Fanua-Blake, I think, has been the greatest example. Born in Australia, played 1 game for New Zealand, so he could never play Origin, where it's not fair. And then you also have guys like Kalen Ponga, who can now play for the Kiwis. that was always a thing. Like he was all about Origin. He was proud to be representing Queensland, but he gives no shits about playing for the Kangaroos because he's not drawn to Australia. So it kind of works for him on the opposite end. But there's a few, they've had a whole lot of players that they've talked about that could do it. It does mean our dreams of an international window during Origin are going to be all but gone because all the players you'd probably pick, well, a lot of the players you'd want to pick will be playing for Origin because New Zealand, England, Tonga, Samoa would all have players going into the Origin window. But
I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
For me, it just means we're not getting shafted anymore. We were the biggest losers out of the current the way it was prior. So
yeah. And Simon's here too, and he said initially he would have been against State of Origin being changed, but on the other hand, I don't care. I only support Kiwis and Ireland in International League. Yeah, I think it makes International League better because Australia can't hoard all the players with the Origin carrots. So yeah, we'll see. We've got the World Cup. We'll see what changes to the rosters are going to be at World Cup time. And Origin is officially confirmed for Game 2 in 2027 at Eden Park. I've heard rumours that they still want to stick with the same kickoff time that they usually do.
It's very late.
So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, officially confirmed Game 2 2027. You got any thoughts on that other than are you coming up?
Love it. Would love to go. It's always been a bucket list thing to get to go to a State of Origin game. So that certainly moves the goalpost a lot closer. It'd be cool if they accommodated to local time so people attending the game aren't out past midnight. But TV revenue's a strong pull, I guess.
Yeah, and Simon said he's amazed that they had to change it at all. There's no way Australia are going to allow the game to be shown earlier in Australia on a Wednesday. Yeah, because I've seen a lot of people saying like 8 o'clock would be perfect New Zealand time, but that's 6 o'clock on a Wednesday in Australia. That's not going to work. The only way you could get away with that earlier time is if it was a Saturday or a Sunday. And Simon said Channel 9's not changing broadcasting schedule for New Zealand. Yeah, so we'll see. I don't think the late time will affect the crowd. I think, as you just said, a lot of people want to go to say they're going to the Origin game. So I think they'll still get a good crowd. It'll just be a bit. It's a have a day off the next day from work thing, and we'd have to. What would we do? We'd have to cancel the show for the night, man.
Wow. That'd be a first.
Yeah.
Live stream from the ground.
Mate, we're not technically advanced enough to do things like that. We leave that for the real content creators out there. And then, so that's all the Origin stuff. Next ones, we've got Adam Reynolds announced his retirement at the end of this season. I think we already talk about Pappenhausen before we finished last year? We did, right? Because he retired while we we're doing internationals.
It's all pretty much common knowledge now anyway.
Yeah, so a lot of changes happening with the Broncos, which we'll talk about in the signings part. But yeah, speaking about the Broncos, they also went down 30-24 against Hull KR in the World Club Challenge. Saw highlights because Sky didn't play it on TV. But yeah, it was kind of one-sided in the first half, and then Broncos kind of woke up in the second and made a game of it. But yeah, once again, Super League showing they're the better comp, mate. They keep winning this one-off game. And full credit to Hull KR for playing this game, playing a game before it, and then going to Vegas when the Panthers the year before said they didn't want to do the World Cup Challenge because they had to prepare for Vegas. But yeah, congrats to them. And then the Eels, they won the preseason challenge by 1 point over the Titans and Tigers. Never think you'd hear a situation where we talk about the top three teams going at it are the Eels, Titans, and Tigers. But that's the joys of preseason, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I don't expect that will be the case come season proper. The trouble for a couple of those teams is they can't do it for the whole season. So
exactly. And then the big one, which is still ongoing, I hope there would be a solution by the time our show came back, but Zach Lomax, Matt. So he got his early release from the Eels to go to R360, but since that's fallen through, he's trying to join the Storm. The Eels have stood their ground, and they're going to court about it. Peter V'landys, famously, we talked about it a lot last year. He said anyone that breaks their contract to go to 360, 10-year ban. He said no exceptions, nothing will happen. First one that did it, he's already broken that. So he wants, he stressed that he wants the best players in the game to actually be playing, and he's not going to enforce the 10-year ban he was so passionate about. Lomax is taking the Eels to court to try to get it. There was some messages that got leaked to the media where the CEO of the Storm was contacting Andrew Abdo saying, like, we're getting no traction with the Eels. Can you grease the wheel? So we don't know what's going to happen. I'm happy to see the Eels stand their ground. They signed him on a big 4-year deal, and then after 1 year he breaks it, and they let him break it to go to Union. And the agreement was you go to Union, but you can't, the next 3 years you can't play rugby league in the NRL. And now he's trying to not only come back, but come back to the Melbourne Storm of all places. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Be interesting to see what the courts do. It feels like it's just going to end up him going to the Storm. I feel like it's all just they're going to bulldoze their way and get what they want.
Yep, I feel like that too. I actually put it on my predictions on the Ruin Hammer show.
You did.
I don't like how murky it is with the Storm, people from the Storm messaging V'landys. V'landys should be nowhere near any kind of negotiations between clubs like that. I don't think it just doesn't feel right, and the Storm don't have a very good track record when it comes to dodgy dealings with players. I like that Parramatta standing their ground too. We support a team that sort of gets stiffed quite a lot with players wanting out. So and flowing on from that, us wanting players in exchange for Mitch Barnett, I just heard today. Want to see more stuff like that because sick and tired of getting the rough end of the pineapple when it comes to this kind of thing.
Yeah. And before we move on to Barnett, Jacko said Eels have got lawyers chasing NRL for a history of all contact with Storm over Lomax. Yeah, and there's also reports that the Storm are going to pay for all of Lomax's lawyer costs. And the other NRL teams have apparently stepped in and told the NRL if that is the case, that needs to be counted in the salary cap. So we'll see what happens, which I agree with as well. Hopefully the NRL just see it as a mess and just tell him. I know he's a good player, but he's not a player to cause all this drama to try to get in. He's not.
Maybe given Pappenhausen's left, maybe he is.
Maybe, but we'll see. But yeah, Mitch Barnett.
No Xavier Coates.
That is true. So they do need a bit of help, those poor Storm teams. But yeah, Mitch Barnett, mate, broke yesterday. He's been granted an early release from the Warriors, and this season will be his last with the club. We were talking about it before we jumped on. It's to do with his son. Apparently there's some issues health-wise, and apparently he can't get the right care for him here. So Australia is the option. He is willing and happy to play in 2026. It's not doing an AFB where he wanted to leave immediately and had to be forced to stay. He's happy to do the year. There has been talk in the media about Cameron George saying they want to get a swap in. I hope that happens. It'll be great, but there's no swap or else. We know at the end of 2026, they will be letting him go. They're not going to hold him against his will because the team didn't give him something. So I feel like if any team if any teams just want to play hardball, they'll just wait till time runs out, and then they'll grab him, and we'll get nothing. It is just unfortunately the nature of the beast over here. But I know Cameron George talked about it, when the AFB thing, the world was going upside down because AFB was leaving. Then a couple of months later, James Fisher-Harris turns up. I was looking at front rowers that may get homesick, and the only one that really jumped out for me was Neff White.
He seems getting me excited.
He seems pretty happy over in Australia, mate. But
he is signed for another couple of years at least, isn't he? He extended last year.
What does extending do? Barnett only extended not that long ago.
Exactly. What does it mean, right?
Yeah, but you're never going to get a like-for-like swap. The fact that they were able to lose AFB and get James Fisher-Harris is like a once-in-a-lifetime type situation. But yeah, Jacko said he had a feeling Barnett would be gone in a couple of months. Oh, he has a feeling Barnett will be gone in a couple of months, but who knows? I think he'll stick it out unless they get a situation where a team that wants him is willing to give one or two players, like George said, for an immediate. If they're like, we want him, but we want him now, and we'll give you these guys, that would be the only thing I'd see. It also depends how good the Warriors are going. Like, I think if Mitch is sitting there going, shit, these boys could go all the way this year, I don't think he's going to jump. But if they're, halfway through the year, it's looking like finals are, a pipe dream, it might grease the wheel to exit early. And Jay also said Barnett's almost 32, will be 33 next year. His time's limited. If he was 28, this would hurt more. I don't want to see him go, but yeah, it's not the end of the world due to his age. It was probably maybe his second to last contract anyway. So we're getting probably the best years out of him now, maybe. I don't know.
These are his peak years right now.
Yeah.
When you write all the names of our forwards and our roster down on paper and start trying to fit them into the lineup, we were talking about this earlier. It becomes pretty difficult anyway, especially if a couple of those young up and comers kick on. I think we'll mostly miss his leadership. We've got Fish still, but Mitch brought a different kind of leadership and lead by example. Origin rep player that and his motor work rate, I think we'll definitely miss, but we're not lacking the talent to fill the hole.
There's going to be a bit of money though to splurge because I think this year is Capewell's last year. It's Rogers last year. I assume they're going to try to extend Roger. I don't see them extending Capewell. So you get whatever they gave Capewell plus whatever they're paying Barnett. You could probably go and try to lure someone. It's going to be a bit tight with the Bears trying to get everyone they can. So, but we'll just have to wait and see. It'll be an ongoing story, I guess, throughout the year. Jagger said extend RTS really. I'm not saying I want to do it, but I know Andrew Webster has already come out in the media and said that he is very interested in extending Roger. I think Roger's at that age where it's probably time to move him on.
1 year at a time?
Yeah,
maybe
1 year at a time.
If he plays like he did last year, this year, I'd be happy to throw out another year at him for sure.
Yeah. I just want to see AKP. Yeah. We've only got 2 wing spots, and I'm watching with an eagle eye on everything Dallin does to say, okay, Dallin maybe, but we'll see. I think extending it was the same issue I had with extending Chance. I love Chance to death, but extending these guys that are a bit older, you're losing the guys beneath them. Is extending RTS another couple of years mean you lose a Taintor or Picky? I don't know. We'll see. It's all it's all doom and gloom until it all happens. And then before we get into trials, tip comp, Matt. So we did it last year. We did the tip comp. It's all set up again. If you were in the comp last year, you're already in. So you just have to go back where you were entering your tips, and you're all still there. But yeah, go and check it. We have to enter our tips this week because of Vegas. So remember that too, mate.
Yeah.
But I did see, I got an email saying a couple of new people entered, but we'll see what happens. And before we get into the trials, Jacko just said sooner rather than later, we need to drop off some oldies and start building the foundation of a side that actually threatened to win a premiership around 28-29. Yeah, that's why I was hoping, or not hoping, with the chance thing before they extended him, going, well, let his contract run out, team tool pickies there, and then we can get some young guys in to build. But they changed their mind on that. But we'll see. Trials, we won't talk about trials too much, maybe just cover our Warriors. But week 1 was the dress rehearsal for Vegas. Cowboys beat the Bulldogs 34-30. Dragons defeated the Knights 28-18. To be honest, I didn't even watch that one. But I started watching again in week 2 when we had everyone playing. But Titans defeated Dolphins 24-12. Raiders defeated Storm 32-6. Cowboys defeated the Panthers 66-24. Seagulls defeated the Warriors 33-18. Tigers defeated Roosters 42-26. Bulldogs defeated Knights 28-0. Rabbits defeated Dragons 28-24. Eels defeated Sharks 46. Warriors Seagulls, mate, what did you think?
Messy. I saw patches of good stuff from players, but it looked very much like a first head out. I never expect them to look super clean. I'll just look at the Broncos against Hull KR. That was their first head out, and they couldn't even beat a Super League team. I was thinking they were going to put 40 points on them. So it definitely wasn't the cleanest. But I never really never really read too much into these games. I mean, who won the preseason comp last year? Manly?
Yeah, it was Manly.
Where did they finish?
They didn't even make the finals.
Yeah. But from a Warriors point of view, and I'll probably say the same for this game and the one against the Dolphins. There were people that I thought looked like they had a good preseason. Tanner Stells-Smith, guys like that looked like they had a little bit more this year to what they had last year. And a couple of the young people had some nice moments, Luke Hansen, guys like that. So I'm not going to dwell too much on the bad aspects of it. I will come season start. And, if we drop a couple of games, that's when you start worrying. But, like Jacko said, a little underwhelming, but enough moments in there to keep you happy.
Yeah, it was underwhelming for me as well. There were little moments. I thought Dimitri looked well until he went off with a head knock. Tanner Stells-Smith, as you said, there were a few. Morgan Gannon, week 2, the first trial, I was like, oh no, I just took this guy up in one of my writings that I did, and he was a bit of a dud. Made up for it in the second game. So I was like, oh, thankfully.
Set up a nice try.
Yeah, so there was some, and Jacko said Laban looks the goods. I forgot to put it in our notes, but the All-Star game where I think there was 7 or 8 Warriors involved in the All-Star game. 6 or 7 in the Māori team, 1 in the All-Star, in the Aborigine team. They all looked good. James Fisher-Harris throwing passes like he doesn't want to be a prop anymore. Laban looked good and strong. Pompey, I thought, looked nice, which is before the lightning strikes me here.
Mate, he's turned you. I'm sure he's turned you.
I think I said in my preseason review that went out on Monday, said the only lock in the centres is Adam Pompey because he doesn't deserve to be dropped, and
Yeah,
it
I feel
hurt me
that
a
way
little
too.
bit. He's converted me. God bless him. Shows what hard work he can do. But yeah, they were good ones. But we'll talk about it now. They were the first game in week 3 of the trials where they went down last 5 minutes, mate. Losing 38-34 against the Dolphins. Tigers defeated the Panthers 26-12. Got to see Makasini
Oh
doing the
my
big
god!
old Toronto
Oh,
down the edge.
how good was that?
Yeah, looking very good. Sharks defeated the Raiders 48-6. Eels defeated the Roosters 28-22. Titans defeated the Storm 42-12. And then Rabbits defeated Manly 36. So yeah, that Warriors game against Dolphins, still another loss, but they had a few more players. I thought the halves actually looked a bit better.
Yeah,
The forwards were giving them good meters, which probably helped them as well. But I felt a bit more at ease with Tanner Boyd at 7 for what we're going to have to put up with for the first 6 weeks until Luke's ready to go. If Luke can get ready sooner, I'll take it. But Tanner looked more comfortable there with the forwards rolling. So as long as the forward pack does their job, he'll be serviceable. That's not what you want to hear for your halfback if you're trying to win a premiership, but we're not looking at 26, 27 rounds with him there. But yeah, and then Tanner Smith I thought was strong again. Morgan Gannon looked good. Sam Healy had some good moments too. Wade Egan, I was getting a bit annoyed with Webster. There was like a knock Egan took like 20, 30 minutes in. It's like, this is when you just take him off. But he kept him out there. And it's like, if we lose him to injury in the preseason because you kept him out there, I'll be pissed. But he got through okay. But yeah, and then the only other game I was really into that week was the Tigers-Panthers because I thought the Tigers looked really good.
And it was right after our game. Yeah. Makasini try was something else, though.
Yeah.
You don't see many people bump off Dylan Edwards like that.
No, and he did this. Yeah, he was just anyone that got in his way. So looking forward to seeing him get more game time.
For sure.
But yeah, and there was a question from Robert, but we'll cover your question, Robert, when we get to the question part. But we'll go to signings, mate. So the big one, Payne Haas, signed a 2-year deal with an option. Yeah, what? I'm getting confused because he said Hakeem, but he also said he wants to be referred to as Payne Haas for league stuff. So I don't know what it is. We'll find out. I'm still learning. Broncos have still got him as Payne Haas on their website at the moment. But yeah, he signed a 2-year. Yeah. He just needs an H in the middle name to be Triple H of the NRL, mate. It would work. But yeah, 2-year deal with an option for a 3rd year with the Rabbits. He's got apparently a few options in there. Apparently, he's got a get out clause if Wayne Bennett leaves. He's got an option on if 360 is up, they will let him out and stuff as well. It seems to be those extras are what got them across the line compared to Broncos' offer because Broncos weren't interested in giving them those extras, but a massive signing for the Rabbits. If you've got them all healthy, Haas, Fafita, Mitchell,
deadly.
Cody Walker's age, he might be dead by the time Haas gets there, mate. So I don't know what they'll do for the halves, but it'd be exciting to see him go to the Rabbits. He was a big Rabbits fan as a kid. His dad was a Rabbits fan, so kind of makes sense if he's going to leave the Bronx. That's where you go. And I have the mindset once you won a premiership, why not try elsewhere?
Yeah. And if you're going to lose Keon Kalamatangi, you might as well get a Payne Haas. That's not bad. That's not a bad gap filler.
Yeah, so be interesting to see how they go. But he's got a year to go with Broncos, so I'm sure we'll get lots of talk if the Broncos go downhill a bit, if they'll use that as a blame game thing. But we'll see. Next one, it kind of went under the radar, but Tigers signed Patrick Herbert on a 2-year deal. They gave him a training trial in the preseason. He's apparently impressed them. So, yeah, he's been locked up, which is great to see. I was always a big fan of Herbie when he was here. So good to see the Tigers pick him up.
As long as he remembers to draw and pass.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And then we just had a couple of extensions. So Big Tino's extended with the Titans until 2030. So after all the talk about him, he was going to be out of there and be multi-millionaire with the Perth Bears. He's sticking with the Titans. I think eventually they're just going to give him ownership of the bloody club to make sure he stays.
You've got to respect it, though. I mean, he's doing all he can to try and turn that club around. And
so credit where credit's due. He wants to stick it out. So, yeah. And Kula is extended with the Seagulls until 2031. Big deal there.
Yep.
Lindsay Smith is extended with the Panthers until 2029. And then, shocking no one, Craig Bellamy's extended as Storm coach until 2028 at least. He's going to be going until the end of time. And he keeps losing all his assistants because he won't get out of the way, so they get jobs elsewhere. So he doesn't really have anyone to take over. But yeah, all nothing surprising there other than the Payne Haas news, which kind of came out of nowhere. We'll go to injuries, mate. There's shitloads, but I grabbed big ones. So you mentioned it a bit already. Xavier Coates from the Storm, surgery on his Achilles, out for a minimum of 3 months. So massive loss for the Storm there. Reece Robson from the Roosters, 8 weeks with a fractured thumb. Leo Thompson, big
way to enter a new club.
Yeah. Same type of thing. Leo Thompson, first year with the Doggies, grade 3 calf tear. He's gone for around 10 weeks. Big loss for the Doggies there. Tamati Martin from the Warriors broke his fibula in the All-Star game. 12 weeks. I don't know how we broke it because they showed you the replay. It looked like his leg just got tapped ever so slightly. But it's just unfortunate. And then Rocco Berry from the Warriors too, Matt. Needed another shoulder surgery. The first one didn't stick in the off season. So he needed another one. They don't know when he'll be back. So the curse, whoever put a curse on him last year, it continued. Hopefully he can get better, and he really needs, when he comes back, he needs to not get injured for the rest of 2026. Otherwise, I think his job will be in jeopardy. I think another big injury, he'll get that. He's already got that injury tag on him, but he'll get it even stronger, and that might prevent him from, if the Warriors give up on him, I think it will probably stop him getting gigs elsewhere too. But we'll see. Naughty Boy Corner, there's only one in it, Francis Rolo. He got a 3 to 4 match ban for a grade 2 higher tackle. Nathan Cleary was in there too, but he managed to fight it because he went to the judiciary and said, "I'm the face of the NRL. You can't have me not in round 1." So there we go. But yeah, anything else you want to add before we go into questions, Matt?
Nope. We can move on.
All right. So before we go into our questions, Robert has asked, saying, "Evening, Brad and Richie. Where do you rank Brisbane this year following their loss to Hull KR in the World Championship? Where do you rank them, mate, going into the season?"
Still very highly. I don't put much weight into those games. Even the Panthers weren't able to win these games, and at the height of their NRL dynasty. So
yeah,
they've got too good a squad to not be going deep. And with the added motivation of Payne Haas leaving, maybe they want to send him out a winner. I think they've got too good a squad and too good a coach to crash and burn completely. So I think they'll be a threat, as much as I don't want them to be. But yeah, they'll be there or thereabouts, I think.
Yeah, and Simon said Hull KR had a game in Super League 1 week before the World Club Challenge compared to the Broncos, who didn't have any. It sounds like I'm making excuses, but it is a game that genuinely the NRL teams don't seem to care about. They go and do it because you have to. And they don't. it doesn't change their life if they win or lose. So yeah, I still have Broncos as a top contender to win the whole thing this year, regardless of what happened. You know, they could even lose the first couple of rounds, and I think I'd still go the back end as long as they get right, they'll be fine. So yeah, and then before we go into our questions, Jacko also said Laban looks like he can become an enforcer type player. Yeah, I'm really psyched about the pack in years to come. You got Laban, you got Dimitrik, you got Halasima, Tanistale Smith, Eddie Aruna, Toiava, Aaron Clark, all these guys that are, you know, on the younger side that will be there. So when you do have like Barney's gone, when James Fisher-Harris hangs up the boots, you're going to have these other kids come straight in and take over. Like I have a feeling, I know we want to get a decent player, but I have a feeling Dimitrik could very easily just take Barnett's spot come 2027 and do the same type of job, which I think Barney's already said in interviews as well, that he thinks Dimitrik's going to be like the next cab off the rank in terms of being in that big bit at the front. So there's a lot of good young forwards there. And my little man crush, Gannon, he's still very young. He gets some NRL under his belt. I think he can add a lot to the team too. But yeah, Laban is he's a must stay. But I think that he's one they've got to keep hold of. So
very talented. I saw some behind the scenes from the All Stars Week 2 from the Maldives. Saw him at the driving range. He can hit a golf ball as well. So
yeah,
big man with big talent.
That's Sean Johnson getting in their ears, mate, getting them all to play.
yeah.
And Simon said, be honest, the World Cup Challenge should actually be played at least 2 weeks after the grand finals. Both competitions be more. Yeah, I've always found it weird because it's the next year. So the teams that are playing aren't even the teams that won. Like you'll have NRL teams, some of their players have left to other clubs. Super League have got some guys that are playing in the NRL the year before. So yeah, do it like a couple of weeks after the grand finals, so it's all fresh and everyone's still probably not at 100% because they were battered and bruised in the grand final, but they haven't had a whole off season away. It would be better, but they'll never change it. I think the NRL, if they could get their way, would just never do it again. They try their best, but I'll go with my question to you, mate, because it kind of flows on from the chat we were just having. Who from the Warriors put their hand up for selection most from the preseason challenge?
Can I include the All-Star game in that?
If you want.
I would say there's a couple. We already spoke about him. I thought Tanistale Smith looks like he's had a great off-season and looks like he's built on his game, on his experience from last year. Looks to have gotten a little bit better. Whether or not that translates into game time and him showing that on the proper stage, but he's one, and it's so tough because I think he put his hand up the most, but at the same time, when I'm writing out my team list for round one, I struggle to fit him in there just because of all the names and there's other people with experience. But he'd be one that's right there. You know, should we need him? And Laban as well, we just spoke about him. I think I want to put him in the starting team. I think he's, the past couple of years, he's really grown, and I think that's going forward, that's going to be his spot. And I think why not? You know, we've got some explosive guys to bring off the bench, Leka, etc. I just think Laban it seems like he would suit being a really solid starting role, edge back rower.
Yeah. I have the same. It was Laban and Tanistale Smith for me. And on a side note, Sam Healy. I think Sam Healy showed that they have to find a way where they have both him and Egan, and you have the yin and yang. So like you have Egan who's doing all that stuff, but you can pick the right moments in games where you bring him on give Egan a rest because we're always on the edge of our seat going, is he going to get hurt in this one? Because he does have that thing. So if you can kind of use a way where you can kind of prolong his ability to play for the season with inserting a bit of spark from Healy, I think it would work. But those were the three.
I think now's the time to pull trigger on that move. Nothing gets Egan. I rate Egan very highly, and his craftiness is right up there in terms of dummy halves going around. But Sam Healy offers a point of difference, and I think maybe even a stronger running game, bigger body. I'd be looking at, if it were me, I'd be looking at a 60-20 split, and Healy gets at least 20 minutes each week.
Yeah, even if it was something as weird as 10 minutes before halftime, you bring him on and he plays the first 10 of the second, and then you've got Egan for that large chunk on either end of the game. But yeah, it's always just in the back of my mind that if they keep doing like Egan 80 minutes every week, you're going to just kill him off. And then by the time they realize the mistakes they've made by that, Healy will be starting for another NRL club somewhere because he's not getting that opportunity. So I want to kind of have my cake and eat it too by keeping them both as long as you can. It just, I feel like it makes sense. And a lot of good teams are utilizing that two-hooker approach. But yeah, we'll see. Your question for me, mate.
Easy one, Brad, because I know you think about these things leading up to the season and you write all these things down, but we were just talking about all the names and all the young forwards coming through and finding a way to fit them all in. So rolling out for round one, who would you put on the paddock as your starting forward pack, and who are you rotating from the bench?
Yeah, I'm ready for everyone to shit on it, but I have already done it. As you know, I did my preseason review on Monday. If you want, go check it out. It's not just this, it's quite a lot there, but I always do my round one team that I would pick. Not just who I want to pick personally, but who I think Webster's going to pick. So there might be people I don't agree with as such. There is a caveat on this because there's players I've put in that won't be playing because today the Warriors have said that Murata, Niokora, Chanel, Harris Tavita, Roger are all healthy. I've picked this team knowing that Chanel may not play and Murata may not play. So the team looks a bit silly, but I've brought it up. I'm hoping people can see it properly. It's not that easy to see, but I'll go through it. I'm going to do all of it, mate. So my back three, I've got Chance, fullback, Dallin on one wing, Roger on the other. My centers, I got Ale Leotawa and Adam Pompey. I thought Ale looked all right in the trials too. We didn't mention him.
Yeah, true.
So that's my backs. The halves, I have Luke Hanson, Tanner Boyd. That will be Tanner Boyd and Chanel because, they've said Chanel will be back. I did say that in my review, saying if Chanel was good to go round one, you bring him in for Hanson. But then you wanted the pack and the interchange. So I have front row, James Fisher-Harris, Wade Egan, Jackson Ford. That doesn't change with the people coming in. I've got Kurt Capewell and Jacob Laban as my second row. We were talking about it before we jumped on. It's between Laban and Halasima, and in my review, I said I feel Laban has shown more as a starter in the trials and the All-Stars than Halasima. I think Halasima was a bit quieter in the trials, but Halasima's X factor is kind of perfect to bring him on when things get tried. I think they'll be fighting all year. One of those two will be the starters battling. So yeah, it's flip a coin, but I'm going with Laban. Aaron Clark is the most obvious pick as a lock that they have. Then my interchange, I've done the 6-man bench, which was harder than I thought. But I've got Sam Healy as my 14, Dimitri Valmunga and Tanner Smith as my bench props. If Murata's back, I see him taking Tanner Smith's spot. But as of doing this, I've gone with Smith. Halasima is my 17. That's my standard 4 that we'd normally use. Then my 2 extras, I've got Morgan Gannon, Tain Tuapuki. Tain Tuapuki just kind of makes sense. He's your outside back cover. Lecker's kind of your centre cover if a centre went down, and Morgan Gannon can be used if you have to put it back in the centres. So that's what I've gone with. And as Jacko has said, it's predictable who Webster will pick will be more of the same as last year, maybe one change. Yeah, I that's why it kind of made it a bit easy for me, because it was like, this is what Webster's going to pick.
You don't think there's a world where Webster goes back to near Corey on edge? Do you see him as exclusively a middle or a bench option?
He might put him as an edge, but I think his best role for the team is in the middle. They've got too many young edge forwards that I feel deliver the same, if not more, than what Murata is doing. So, putting him in the edge, does that mean a guy like Laban or Halasina misses the team entirely because you're using Murata as an edge? You don't want that situation where you could have him in that. Would you rather lose a Laban or Halasima or a Tanistawa Smith, who's being used more as a middle?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's hard.
When you write all the names down, it's tough. I'm a massive fan of Goggins too, Edemir Toyava.
Yeah.
Couldn't fit him in.
Yeah, and I couldn't either. And he, in one of my articles I did this year, he was one of my players to watch. So it's one of my players to watch. We haven't got him in. And Jagger said, I want AKP in and Toyava on the bench, but I usually don't get what I want. I would be putting AKP in instead of Dallin, but I know Webster's not going to do that. So that's kind of why I went with what I went. And we didn't get to see Camprera play for the Warriors, and he didn't really stand out in the All-Stars either. Dallin, at least, he got a try, ran in off his wing, so he's kind of doing everything we expect. So, I don't know.
That brings in a good discussion point around AKP, actually. Because is he going to give you games where he stands out during the game? Or is he just purely opportunist, and when you get half a chance, he's got the pace to cash in? If he's not cashing in, are you going to notice him as much as a Dallin?
His strike record, though, he's always cashing in. That's the thing.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And if he... Well, I was going to say, if he can score for the Titans, he should be able to score for us. But the Titans have always been a very good attacking side. They just can't defend. So it's not that much. But I feel his ability to find the try line is something the Warriors could utilize. And his speed. They don't have any speed. And Jago said he thought AKP was okay in the Digits game. He actually brought the ball back with some zest. That is something I should say I did notice, because that was something that's always been Warriors fans' argument against him, is that Dallin gives you those hard, kick return meters, and AKP doesn't do that. I did notice he was putting more effort into that in that trial game. So I just see that he won't get a shot until Dallin forces the hand, either through injury or a dip in form. Roger, I feel, is locked into that other spot until he decides he doesn't want it anymore. Unless they change things up and they move, they go, fine, we're putting Roger back in as a centre. I don't know. We'll see. Did you have a team written down, or were you just going to watch me dig my own grave?
I did have a team written down, and it was pretty much identical to yours. I had seen your team written down, but then couldn't remember it, and wrote mine down, and it turns out being pretty damn close. You had Tanistawa on the bench. I had Nia Corey in his place, even though I was most impressed by Tanistawa Smith during the preseason, but I had him next cab off the rank due to his trial form. Otherwise, I had Nia Corey in places Stel Smith. And where's your team going, Brad? I've forgotten it again. It was pretty much identical. Okay, I had you put Hansen down. I had Chanel, believing he was going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
So Chanel at 6, Niakore at 16, otherwise identical all the way through the 19. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if I could pick the team I want, taking Webster completely out of it, this would be completely different. But he is a successful NRL coach, and I'm not. So I'm not gonna. I'll complain about his picks all my life, but as I think I told you, I'd have Tane Tuapiki at fullback, Chans in the centres. I'd have Roger on one wing. I'd have AKP on the other. And the forward pack I'd probably keep as is. But yeah, other than that, it's more the backs.
The tries for AKP too, in a poor side. They are a poor side, but despite them being a poor side, the one thing they can do well is score tries. They have points in them. They've got very good attacking players. So I think their ability to score tries is probably even better than ours. But 100%. We're just a more well-rounded team.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was all the stuff. We'll get into the actual crux of the episode before we let everyone go, which is the predictions. So the first one we do every year, mate, is leading try scorer. Usually Paul shows all the pictures, but it's on me, mate. So there's an interesting theme here. Two of us picked the same player, but we all picked the same team. So leading try scorer, you and I both picked Sal and Cobbo, mate, and Paul picked the Hammer.
How did we both do that? We didn't know each other's picks. Dolphins score a lot of points, and Cobbo on the end of that back line, I just feel like could cash in.
Yeah, it's the same mindset I had. That they are one of the most prolific try-scoring teams in the comp. And yeah, I feel like Cobbo is going to be a target. So yeah, it seemed easy for me. Paul's not here to defend himself, but Hammer's not a bad option either. If you're going to pick, it's going to be Cobbo. If it is a Dolphins guy that's going to be the leading try scorer, it's going to be Cobbo, Isako, or Hammer. Or maybe Herbie.
Herbie. Herbie will definitely lead line breaks.
Yeah. So that, depending if I could just see Herbie doing the line breaks and then getting the ball off the Cobbo.
Exactly.
That's the trials exactly they were playing together. So that's what I was seeing. So that's what we went with there. Next one was leading point scorer. Simon said also we've got Dolphin fever. That's going to continue for two of us.
Wait for the next slide.
Yeah. So flowing on from that, saying that the leading try scorer is going to be a Dolphin, we rightly decided that must mean the goal kicker for the Dolphins is going to be point scorer. Jermaine Osako, we both picked. Seems to most years. Yeah, most years he generally gets it. So we went with that, and Paul went with Nick Meaney. So he's, I assume, going with the mindset I had last year, where I thought Meaney would get it because I was backing the Storm to do well, and he's their goal kicker. With no Pep, it's going to be more lucky that it's going to be Meaney, because that's what threw us off the bus last year. Is they were sharing it between him and Pat. No Pat means all Meaney. So that's a good shout out there. I don't remember what the next one is, Matt. So we'll just minor premiers. We all went different, Matt. I went with the Broncos. I'm going back to back. Well, not back. They didn't get the premiership last year, or minor premiership, but I think they'll get it this year. Who'd you go with?
Panthers. They came home with a real wet sail last year. I don't see them starting as poorly this year as they did last year. They're still a juggernaut to me. I think they'll be top four. I feel like they'll be safely top four. I could be wrong, but they start half decent this year. I think they're too strong to not be at least top four, and I can see minor premier.
Yeah. And then Paul went with the Storm. So he's very Storm heavy at the moment. But we'll see. Maybe the odds are one of us will get it right. Picking three different teams. Signing of the year, we all picked different as well. I went with Dylan Brown. I think we all know who we're going to pick for next year. But
Yeah.
Dylan Brown, I think it's more just living off the hype of how well he went for the Kiwis. I'm hoping that flows through for the Knights. I think
Should have been Golden Boot.
he should have been. I think you're probably actually going to win this one though. But who'd you go with?
Yeah, for Fida, yeah, we know what he can do. He couldn't do it consistently in the Titans, but you throw him on a left edge with some of those left edge players of South Sydney who already have an extremely strong left edge. I think he's braced to make some impact. Whether or not it plays out with that, but
he loves playing for Daddy Bennett too. So
he does. He really does.
So yeah, I'm expecting a big year out of him. And then Paul went with Bronson Garlick. Don't know why. But good signing for the Rabbits, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Full disclosure, you remember Paul forgot what team Wayne Bennett coached for last year, but he still beats us in the predictions as much as we give him crap. So,
yeah.
Next one, Wooden Spoon. Richie, you joining me in the dark side, going with the Dragons.
Yeah, I know why you picked them, but for me, it's I agonized over this one. I just could make an argument for every lower team that they could miss the spoon, you know. The Titans look better this year. We say that every year, but they've got too much talent to finish Wooden Spoon, surely. The Eels got close last year. They're not going to come close this year again. I think they'll be a lot better. And the Dragons just are lacking key, like probably a couple of halves, you know. If they had a better halfback, maybe, but
yeah. Jacko said Knights have the potential to do it again. I just think I'm going off the fact that they've got like a couple of nice signings, new coach, maybe they'll get off. But yeah, the Dragons, they've still got, you know, Gutho and Cook and the like, but they've got one of the least interesting halves pairings in the comp now with Flanagan and Atkinson. It doesn't scream a lot of confidence. So yeah, and I'm very biased because I hate them with a passion. And Simon said he hasn't seen much of the Dragons this year, but hopefully they do finish last. It'll be a dream. I might retire. If that happens. And yeah, Knights are lacking middlemen. Flashbacks won't do well without them. Yeah, that is true.
Maybe not next year.
Yeah,
they might get one back next year.
They might get Barnett back. But yeah, that's not going to help them this year. Trey Mooney is there, but there's a lot of pressure putting on Trey Mooney. It's a bit like the Terrell May at the Tigers, where you're kind of throwing the young gun and saying, you're our forward pack. So, yeah, we'll see. I think there's good shouts for that. Next, we're going for grand finals. Paul and I both went with Broncos versus Panthers. I just think that one, it feels like the Panthers will go back to what they were, in the Broncos, I feel. I'll be pushing Reynolds and Haas's last year with the club. I feel like they're really going to want to end it on a high. So, and you went with an interesting pick.
The Sharks. Go back last year, Sharks went far off, man. And they weren't always at their best, you know. I think if they hit some form, I needed an outside. I couldn't go Panthers Broncos again. And I'm always going to shave off the Broncos because for me they're my Dragons. For you,
that's true.
Yeah. So Panthers Sharks, complete guess, probably be wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah. And Simon said he thinks Storm Raiders will be his final, but there's slight bias from him there. It's a good shout. No one expected the Raiders to do what they did last year. Will be interesting to see how they go without Fogarty. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Dally M Medal. We all went different on this one. I went with Reece Walsh. If he starts this year off how he ended last year, I think he could have it locked up halfway through the year if he stays fit. But we'll see. He's very up and down. Who'd you go with?
Harry Grant. No logic behind it, but I've matured enough now doing this for a few years that I didn't consider Nathan Cleary because he never gets it. Pretty much just threw a dart at a dartboard, landed on Harry Grant. It could happen.
It's a very I'm not going to say safe prediction. It's not a bad one when you're banking on trying to get it right at the end of the year. He is one of the ones that you would say would be in contention if he stays healthy. Yeah. And then Paul went with Payne Haas, which I would love. It would be awesome to see a prop get Dally M. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. First coach to be fired. I gave up, mate. I'm sick of the last 2 years saying no one's getting the sack and looking like an idiot. We all seem to be on the same wavelength. Making the slide was very hard. You know how hard it is to find 3 different pictures of Todd Payton that actually look like 3 different pictures? All very much the same. The only way I could have got it is if I started using some of his pictures from his playing days. But yeah, we all went with Todd Payton. It seems like that job is, most people thought he was going to get the flick last year. So we'll see how it feels. Yeah, I was going to say it feels like it's not a case of if but when. And Jagger said Seabolt could be a goner. So I think Seabolt will be gone as well. I just think Payton will be gone first. I feel like it's going to be a bit like last year where you and Paul, you picked Haz and you picked Hasler and the Knights coach. What's his name?
Adam
O'Brien. You both had him and you were both right, but it was like a case of weeks between the two of you of who got sacked first. I feel like it could be the same with Seabolt and Payton. I think Seabolt might hold in a bit longer because he can also play the card of it's our first year without Cherry Evans. Give me a bit of slack.
And Payton's had a bit more time in his role at the Cowboys, and I feel like he's already on a bit of thin ice, and if their season doesn't really get off the ground, he might be in a bit of strife.
Yeah. Then our last one, mate, is the top 8. We picked our top 8. I'll go off mine first, then yours, and then we'll talk about Paul's. So I've got Broncos first, Panthers second, Storm third, Bulldogs 4th for my top 4. Then I've got Roosters 5th, Warriors 6th, Raiders 7th, Dolphins 8th. I did it again by doing the tipping comp and picking the winner of every game from round 1 till the very end. This is the 8 they gave me.
Okay.
That works terribly for me last year, so we'll see how it works for me this year.
Yep. And whatever I did last year worked terribly for me too. So I've just thrown who I'm very confident. Vibes, mate. I'm very confident in the first 5. 6, 7, and 8. So I've gone 1 Panthers, 2 Broncos, 3 Bulldogs, 4 Sharks, 5 Storm. I'm pretty confident they'll be in the top 8 for sure. 6, 7, and 8 Roosters, Warriors, Rabbitohs. No way near as confident, and I could quite easily swap in Raiders. I feel like I'm being very harsh on the Raiders, given where they finished last year. I could swap them in for any of 6, 7, and 8, and Dolphins have been very close without much luck. And if they've got the team and the attack to get there, if they get a bit of luck with the injuries, I could swap Dolphins in for any of those 6, 7, or 8 as well.
Yeah, I could very easily see Rabbits making it like you've picked, but I've got them out at the moment. But yeah, I've put the Dolphins in just because I want to see them make the finals. I'm sick of the best attacking team never making the finals. But yeah, there's quite a few. As Jagger said, top 8 is wide open this year. I feel like there may be 4. Like you gave 5, but one of your 5 is the Sharks, which I haven't even got in my 8. But I feel like Broncos, Panthers, Storm, and Bulldogs seem like the teams that will be in the 8. Not necessarily top 4, but they will definitely be ones you could lock in. And then the rest you can kind of fit in. Roosters I've got in there because, Cherry Evans, they were playing well last year. Warriors, it all depends what happens when Metcalf comes back and how the injuries go. We could either be pushing for a top 4 spot or not even in the 8.
Exactly.
It could hinge on what
happens. It could hinge on what happens leading up to Metcalf coming back.
And
if we're 0-6, it might be season done.
Yeah. Which does put us into Paul, because Paul has not picked the Warriors because he's a bastard. But Paul has got Storm 1, Broncos 2, Panthers 3, and Sharks 4. Then he's got Bulldogs, Raiders, Roosters, Dolphins for 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then it's not a bad 8 again. We could pick and choose and argue a lot. We've got quite a few player teams all that we agree on, with just a couple of sprinkles of difference. But Simon said the AI told me it would be Broncos, Panthers, Bulldogs, Storm, Roosters, Raiders, Sharks, and Rabbits. Be interesting if AI is correct. Yeah, so AI doesn't like the Warriors either. Yeah, that is our predictions. We will look back at these. I have them on file. We'll see how close we get, if we get close at all. But yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. So round 1 is happening this week, mate, in good old US of A. We'll see how many of the players get picked up by ice and don't get to come home. Don't know. But we've got Hull KR versus Leeds Rhinos. I think that's the first game. I assume they're making the Super League game first. Then they've got Knights, Cowboys, Bulldogs, Dragons. I think Hull KR win their game, and I'm going with Knights winning and Bulldogs winning for my picks.
Okay.
You picking any different or not?
I'm going Hull KR, Cowboys, and Doggies. So
nice.
You went Knights. Yeah, so we differ on that one.
Yeah. So next week's show is going to be a bit different because of the split first round. We'll cover the general news like we do. We'll review the 2 Vegas games. Last year they didn't even show the Super League games on TV here. So I'm not sure if they'll play it again, but we'll cover the 2 NRL games anyway, and then we'll preview the rest of round 1. We'll have our first team list for the Warriors Roosters game that we played, and then the week after we're back into the routine of reviewing all the games, previewing the Warriors game. But it should be good. Simon has said before we let everyone go, they're talking about maybe taking the games to Miami instead of Vegas when they decide that there's interest in it. I feel like this will be the smallest crowd of the 3, just due to the fact that of the teams going. Bulldogs are basically the biggest team that are going. They have a lot of fans. I've got mates that are Doggies fans that are over in America at the moment, so they've gone. But yeah, we'll see what the crowd's like. But I feel like you need one of those big draws every year, which they haven't got. But anything else you want to add before we let everyone go, mate?
No, I'm happy, mate. It's good to be back, though. It's good to see some of the same old faces come back and chime in. It's good to hear from you guys. Let's go.
We'll see how we're feeling.
We're on the doorstep.
We'll see how we're feeling when we're getting towards the end, mate, and we're getting into the World Cup. So
yeah,
it's going to be a long one this year. And so obviously, just remember, I need to go and watch that American guy who watches rugby league just to see what his take on it is. There's a lot more. A lot more Americans getting into it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And Simon said, at least he has his Wednesdays at 8 o'clock to be thrilled for the rest of the year. It's going to be. The missus is already preparing for a long time of being banished to a quiet part of the house downstairs for 2 or 3 hours when they do the show now. For now till like November, I think. Is it?
Yeah, you're in for a ride, Simon. Don't worry about that Sean Johnson guy at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know where to find us.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on the Stand Up with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune into our show next week at 8 p.m. here on Facebook and YouTube, or at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Thanks again for joining us, and good night, everyone.